Today we're going to be talking about driving new business with social media. This is a high-level overview of how you can use social media in your business. While I may use an example from Facebook, most of the rules that we're talking about will apply fairly equally to all of the channels. So hopefully you can find things from today's program that you can apply right away. My name is Lorraine Ball and I own a marketing company called Roundpeg. We are a solution provider for Constant Contact. And you may wonder why Constant Contact is putting together programs on social media, and the reason is very simple. Email and social media work hand in hand for small businesses to both reach new audiences and stay in touch with people who already know and love them. Today, we're going to focus on the social media portion of the equation. And why does this all make sense? Well, marketing has really changed. When I started my career X number of years ago, the way people looked at marketing was like this. Our job was to talk to as many people as possible and hopefully drive some people with our mass messages into a stage where they were interested in learning about your business and where they ultimately became customers. But today the market has kind of flipped. And today where we really are is it starts with your customers. It doesn't end with them. And smart businesses know that if they do a good job of communicating with their customers and focusing on information that is relevant to their customers in emails and in social media, those people will share those messages to a wider and wider circle. Engagement is the new word of mouth. And the truth is, your business has always been driven by engagement. It just looked different 30 or 40 years ago. 30 years ago, my mother would sit on the front porch and chat with one of her friends about a product or a service. Today, those same conversations are happening. They're just happening online. They're happening on Facebook. They're happening on Twitter. And so you simply need to adjust how you package your information to take advantage of where those conversations are happening today. Because we know that social media is having a positive effect on businesses that are using it well. 78% of companies, 78% of consumers surveyed said that seeing a company's social media posts influenced their purchases. 73% of consumers said that they are likely to buy from brands that respond on social media, that interact with customers. And 84% of people surveyed said they use social media to show their support for a cause. Now, this was particularly apparent during the election, but we also see it on Giving Tuesdays and people promoting different organizations and marches and charities and using the broadcast platforms of social media to get their messages out there. And so organizations that want to reach a wider audience can provide great content for social media that their customers and fans can share. Your advantage, and as a small business, there are times that it feels like the deck is kind of stacked against us. And I can say that because although I'm a reseller for Constant Contact, I'm a small business owner. And so I'm often competing against much larger entities. And the advantage that we have as small businesses is the ability to connect authentically with our audience. The fact that we can put up social media posts about one of our employees and it feels real and it feels genuine and it's not forced. And the fact that customers respond to that authentic connection. And you can use social media to build and expand those relationships, to increase your brand awareness, and to grow your email list. And you'll notice that I'm talking about social media, but I'm telling you that part of the reason you want to be on social media is to grow your email list. That's because social media is a great place to meet new people. Email is where you can have more in-depth conversations with people that already know and love you. The other difference between social and email is that on social media, you're always competing with that next cute cat video. In your email, at least for a few minutes, you have my complete, undivided attention. So today we're going to talk about picking the appropriate social media network and setting up your network, and then how to create content, what kind of content people are looking for on social media. And we're also going to talk very briefly about some tips on advertising and how to grow your list. So let's get started. There are tons of different kinds of social media sites, and the choices seem to be growing. You've got networking sites that are really designed for conversation and interaction. You have lots of photo sharing sites, and these, there is some bleed over. The people that are really serious about photographs and not a lot of conversation are definitely more likely to use Instagram or Pinterest and Snapchat for very quick image sharing. And then video. Vine is definitely more in the moment. YouTube is a little bit more for planned videos. Where do you need to be? We're going to take a quick look at a number of these different platforms and really dive in for a moment on why one platform makes more sense than another. While there's a lot of argument that Facebook makes sense for both business to business and business to consumer, if you are going to go on Facebook, what you need to think about is the fact that Facebook is called Facebook for a reason. It is about the personal and the human interaction. While you can share a lot of different information, if you don't share anything that's more behind the scenes, people of your company, it is unlikely you're going to get a lot of interaction. Restaurants, business to consumer businesses tend to do much better on Facebook. If your target audience are other businesses, the kind of things that are going to get noticed will be photos and videos about your people. And you can mix and match and have some informative links to your blog posts, but what's really going to get shared are the human stories. And even in consumer products, we do a lot of work with a company that manufactures and distributes beans. And we share a lot of recipes, and the recipes do well, but the thing that really does well is when one of the owners puts a photograph up of him walking on the farm or at a market where they are shopping for beans from other bean suppliers to be included in their product. It is the personal side. How often? Once a day is a fairly good rhythm for Facebook. If you're a B2B company, 5 days a week is fine. One of the other benefits of Facebook is that it really has become an advertising platform. Sometimes that's a headache, but the truth is that having an opportunity to distribute your messages and direct and target them through Facebook is an advantage. It's not very expensive, and you can reach a pretty wide audience very quickly. Twitter is really good in industries that fall into, I would say, one of two categories. Either in the moment categories that are very news focused, latest breaking news, very interactive. Food, technology, retail tends to do really well on Twitter. But if you're going to use Twitter, you really have to be prepared to do it frequently throughout the day. It's not enough, and I laugh at this little example here. They're showing a company that has 32 tweets, 6 people following, and 12 followers. I know that they're just starting up, but that's really not a great example of an interactive account. What makes Twitter really work is when you interact with and talk to Twitter, not to Twitter, but to people on Twitter, and engage with them. The other thing that Twitter is really good for is following conversations. If there are thought leaders, if you want to stay on the leading edge of what's happening on a particular news story, Twitter is a great place to be for your own personal. It is, however, time-consuming, and I think that I always caution people to tread lightly before saying, yes, I'm going to jump into Twitter. It is the fastest way to reach and be reached. And that is a double-edged sword, because people will put comments on Twitter and they will talk to you on Twitter and expect you to respond. So if I'm sitting in an airport and a flight is canceled, I may put up a note that says, thanks Delta, I'm going to miss my connection to, and I really hope that they will see it and will respond. And very often, I think the airlines are really good at monitoring that and saying, hey, you know, can we get you connected with someone? Can we help you book another flight? If you're not going to be that responsive, you may be opening up a bit of a Pandora's box if you get too active on Twitter. LinkedIn is about business to business, and I think it's kind of interesting that in this example, Constant Contact has used a screen grab of more of a consumer product, because this really is B2B. This is where people go to find jobs, to find employees, to find information on what's happening in their industry. This is a great place to publish white papers and studies and reports, and it's a great place to find that kind of information. It is an ideal platform to establish your individual expertise, to network within your industry. I belong to a couple of private groups that are comprised of other owners of marketing agencies around the country, and we share best practices and ideas within our groups. It's not necessarily within the group structure. I'm not going to promote a lot of links to my blog posts because this is just talking to my competitors. I do, however, post on a daily basis. This says 3 times a week or more. I do post every day because we publish new articles on our blog every day. And so I want people that I am connected with on LinkedIn to see that high level of action. Does it work? We've had really good response in terms of getting invitations to make presentations at conferences and industry events. And this is, if that type of connection is relevant for you, this is the place to build it. Pinterest, this is really an interesting niche platform. While I've seen people from all kinds of industries create Pinterest pages and interact, where we see the most benefit are with aspirational products. So If your product is something that people will save up for or plan for, a vacation, a wedding, remodeling their home, Pinterest is a really good place to establish a foothold. But if your business is not something that people dream about buying, and they're not likely to create scrapbooks filled with different alternatives, this may not be a really worthwhile place to spend your time. If you're in those industries, writing good descriptions, using keywords in the descriptions, and links back to your website can be very valuable. It does increase the visibility of your brand. The links to your website do help with SEO, but it's kind of an exercise in futility if yours is not a product or service that people would normally look for on Pinterest. Instagram. The challenge with Instagram is all of these other platforms can be done from your desktop. They can be scheduled in advance. But Instagram is just that. It is instant. And it can only be done from your cell phone. So you can't take a picture, upload it to your computer, and push it to Instagram. You have to have a way of transferring that photo to your phone. So you can take a photo, email it to yourself, download it to your phone library, upload it to Instagram, but it's really not designed for that. What Instagram does really well is collect images on a particular topic. And so if you properly use hashtags, it allows you to connect to other people who are interested in the same thing. Again, if you're in the food, fashion, art industry, Instagram is really a nice place to play. The other thing is that you can push your Instagram posts to Twitter or Facebook. You can do both, but after a while people begin to think, well, wait a minute, I've seen that image a couple of times now. And if you really want to build unique communities, you don't necessarily want to push the same content to every community. If yours is a visual brand, if you want to show customers how to use your product, how other people are using your product, Instagram is a great way to do it. Food brands, sharing recipes, sharing photos of their product works really well. Setting up your network. I'm not going to go step by step through every network. I want to simply make a couple of points that I hope you will keep in mind as you are setting up your profile. The first is that this great big image, and Twitter has one, Facebook has one, Instagram has one. Most people won't see it. On mobile devices, it's hidden. Once people start following you, all they're really going to see is the avatar. So pick something pretty, but don't spend a lot of time worrying about getting a message here. I've seen people try to put a lot of text in these large cover images, and that looks great on your desktop, but on mobile, nobody sees it. This large image in the background is wallpaper. The really important part of your profile is the avatar. And on full screen, this looks pretty big. But take a look at your timeline on your phone and see how small those avatars get. If you are creating, whether it's a Facebook, Twitter, or Google Plus profile, make sure that this little image is very clear and well defined. If you look closely in the background here, you see hearts and tails and animal rescue. When this gets shrunken down into phone size, nothing will be readable. This needs to be your brand at a glance. The other thing that you really want to do is make sure that you get your company name and a good description with links to your website. So if someone is following you and they do want to know who you are and what you do, make sure there's good information for them. And then if you're going to go to the trouble of getting on social media and creating these different places where people can interact with you, tell people in your email, let people know that you are on different platforms. Ask people to follow you. Let people know that you're going to have special things that you only put on Facebook or you only put on Twitter. Because if you don't, they don't really have a good reason to follow you. Make sure you have links on your website. I think these buttons are a little shouty, but I think that's for examples. And if you are blogging, and you should be blogging, make sure you have social share buttons that don't just link to your post, but actually allow people to share the content on their timelines. This is one that I'm not sure I necessarily agree with. I don't know that if I'm following you on Facebook that I need to be told to check you out on Twitter. Your social media communities should be different. If they're not, you don't need to be on all of them. Once you set up your pages, don't just sit there and wait for people to come to you. What you need to do is you need to seek out your existing and target audience. Interact and engage with them. Find other people, like in this instance, this is a constant contact status update. As a solution provider, I should look for their updates and I should like them and I should reply and I should interact with them. Why? Because then they're more likely to notice me and perhaps interact with me. If you're running a local business and you're on Main Street, you should become a fan of every business on Main Street, and you should comment and talk to them. Why? Because then they'll comment and talk to you. And the benefit is that their customers will see you and your customers will see them, and everybody wins. You want to follow like-minded organizations. You want to, let me go back to that. You want to connect with people who are likely to be doing business with the people you want to do business with. If you are a wedding planner, you should be connecting to florists and musicians and DJs and venues, because all of you want to talk to the same bride. If you're selling pet food, you want to connect with someone who does grooming or animal veterinary care, and do those back and forth kind of connections. Follow them. Talk about them or things that they're interested in, and again, they're more likely to talk about you. When it comes to thinking about what kind of content, one of the things that you see in all of these boxes is an image. Not too long ago, social media was about text updates. But whether you're on Twitter or Facebook or even LinkedIn, pictures are dominating. And so with your status updates, more and more you need to be thinking about the images. You want to mix it up and share information that's useful or engaging. Share some information that's fun. Some things that maybe are going to be a little bit of an emotional hook. You want to try to balance your content with maybe even 70% of your content being, or I've seen the 50-30-20 rule. So 50% of your content should be interesting, informative, engaging. You can have about 30% of your content that's really focused on your industry and your business, sharing your expertise, but only 20% should be buy now, sign up, register, download. If you go too heavy on the buy now, sign up, register, download, people will shut you off because you're never sharing anything that's really interesting to them. You've got to hook them with things that are fun and interesting and different, and then you earn the right to offer something for sale. As you're thinking about the kind of content that you should be sharing, again and again, what you see is across every platform, it is the pictures that rule. The other thing that you'll notice is that we've presented all of these different social media platforms on mobile devices, because this is where people are more likely to interact with your content when they're on social media. And again, if you remember earlier, I said be very careful about the avatars and what they look like in social media. Jack's Barbecue is recognizable. All the backyard fun with that little picture of I don't know what, and Fancy Letters by Nicole, the same problem. I can read who she is, but I don't, at a glance as I'm speeding through, recognize that image. It's not adding value. It may look great on the full-size profile page, but not here. Some of the things that do really well on Facebook and on Twitter are like before and after images, case studies, showing off your work. We work with a lot of construction companies, and demolition images are phenomenal. People love to watch buildings falling down and being rebuilt. On Instagram, the hashtag absolutely rules. It's important on Twitter, it's important on Instagram. It doesn't really make a difference on Facebook. It doesn't really work all that well, and it doesn't work all that well on LinkedIn. But on Instagram, this is how people find information. So as you're adding images, you may want to think about what kind of words are people searching for. Do you just do hashtag dogs? Well, here's the problem. There are 32 million posts about dogs. While it's great to be included in that group, it's hard to get noticed. And so you may want to narrow it down a little bit and find a hashtag that is used but not overwhelmed. Dogs of Instagram brings you down to some narrower and narrower key phrases. You want to share content in multiple locations. You may have a fabulous piece of information on your website, but don't let it live and die there. Share it on social media and share it in your newsletter. This is how you get more value out of everything that you create. You may write a wonderful blog post and maybe 50 or 100 people see it on your website. But if you share it in your newsletter, 3 or 4 or 500 people may see it. And if you put it on Facebook, you reach an entirely different audience as well. So create an email, but don't stop there. You can use social share tools to promote that same content on Facebook. And don't stop and only promote your content. You don't have all the answers. And so if you want to be truly valuable, to your target audience, follow other thought leaders. Share information that is out there that you think will be of interest to your audience and that will impress them that you took the time to find that information. And then add your own spin. What is it that I should know? Why are you sharing this information? I kind of touched on this a little bit before. The ratios, different people have different ratios, but this 80% valuable and interesting gives you the opportunity to create 20% promotional content. As you're trying to manage all of this, there are a lot of cool tools out there that let you post to multiple sites at the same time. My Social Suite, Hootsuite, Buffer, they all do the same thing. You can create the content, link to it, and select multiple networks. Now, I am not going to suggest that you put exactly the same content on every platform, but I think you can pick and choose. You can, and then on the other side of it, the benefit is if you're using a third-party tool like this, whether it's My Social Suite, Hootsuite, Buffer, you get these nice reports that show you which platforms really responded well to the content, how many views did you get, how many clicks, and you can do a better job going forward of narrowing that. I mentioned earlier that Facebook now allows advertising, and the truth is most of the social media sites have some type of advertising. We've seen an increase in the advertising, in the use of advertising, and also in the benefits. 25% of people say they will visit a location or a website because they saw an ad, and 14 to 16% will purchase a product or service. So how does it work? The easiest way, and this is an example on Facebook, but you can do the same thing on Twitter and you can do the same thing on LinkedIn. Select a message, select a piece of content that's already done well. And then define your audience. And on each platform, there are different ways to do this. On Facebook, you can look at the age, you can look at gender, you can look at where someone lives. You can narrow this down to a zip code. And then you can type in interests, and Facebook really knows an awful lot about us. It's based on the kind of content that we post. On LinkedIn, you can go by job title, you can go by the kind of company they work in, the industry, the size of company. You can really narrow down your focus. And then you can set your budget. And on Facebook, for as little as $5 a day, you can put your message in front of thousands of people. Constant Contact is also rolling out their own Facebook integration advertising tool, and it is a really nice way to do it right from the Constant Contact dashboard. And you can promote your email list. Almost every social platform is rolling out some type of advertising. Some work better than others, some are more expensive than others. I would follow the same rules that say, where is your audience most likely to be? Where are your customers most likely to be? Where are they already interacting with you? And that's where I would invest additional resources in advertising. And one of the things that you can do with your advertising on social media is grow your email list. Because it is when you put these two things together that you really get some incredible benefits. 73% more engagement with your customers, 50% increase in new customers, and 39% more business referrals. You can add an email link to your profile. Now, I have mixed emotions on this. I prefer to add the link to my primary web page, but you can add it in any of your profiles. I love this, the fact that you can add a sign-up tab to your Facebook page, and you can actually advertise and promote this page. And you can add an email link within a post. So here's an example in Pinterest. You can also add this in any other social share post. And then on the other side, you can use email metrics to make better social decisions going forward. You can share links to all the social platforms, but then take a look and see, what were people really interested in? Which platforms did they go to? If I was this company, I'd be on Pinterest and Facebook. Bottom line, to get started, pick a platform. Do one platform well. Create your business platform and then start sharing content. You can do this. I mean, the truth is that you don't have to be on every single platform. You can make very positive impact on your business by simply picking one social media platform and doing it well. And using Constant Contact and the content that you are creating in your email newsletters to share and grow your community. If you currently, again, thanks for joining me today. We have a full lineup of